wanted to quickly talk about the ruthlessness of the economy as well as the dating marketplace. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a correlation between those two things. Yeah, from my perspective, I think there's a clear correlation between those two things. Sort of the ruthless nature of both dating and the economy. At first, I was just going to talk about the dating side of things and explain how ruthless that is based on my experiences. But I think it's kind of like both, right? It's not just one. It's like both of them are just as bad. So I don't think you should. I think it might sort of like offer a better explanation if I cover both instead of just one of them. And the reason why I say that is because, well, first of all, in my content, usually I highlight the very narrow, the similarities between those two things. I usually do that, and so it makes sense to discuss both of them. Again, based on my experience. So let's start with the economy, because I've been dealing with that a lot. How competitive it is. Like, it's highly competitive. Like if say you're looking for a job, for example, that's gonna be very hard. Yeah, especially right now. Like if you're searching online, for example, it's not as many. I mean, you could send applications, but there's no guarantee that you're gonna get any type of traction from that. Right? Like you could spend your time applying for a bunch of jobs on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on all those different platforms. But what I've noticed is sort of like no guarantee, or not even guaranteed, there's no high probability that you'll get some kind of response back. And that's just from an employment standpoint. We know it is a employer's market. It's not a employees market. It is the companies, the corporations that are dictating the tempo. I mean, usually they always dictate the tempo, but sometimes you have more leeway, you have more grounds to negotiate. I'm afraid that right now it's not really the case. Right now it's very much an employer's market. They control everything. They hold all the cards. They hold all the cards. And you don't really hold much on your end. And that is quite saddening, to say the least. At least from if you're somebody seeking a job, it's gonna be very hard for you to get that job, given the fact that these guys, they're not really looking to hire you like that. They're not friendly like that. They're not trying to help you that much. So the competitive nature, the ruthless nature of looking for jobs, getting a job. But now let's say you wanted to start a business. Let's say you didn't want to be looking for jobs. You wanted to be your own boss, self-employed. Well, that's even harder. That's even more extreme. Now, the results, if you do manage to make it work, the benefits are amazing, right? The results are amazing because you get paid on your own terms. You may not make as much money. You may struggle from an income point of view. Sorry about that. I was getting a phone call. You may struggle from an income point of view, but ultimately what happens is that you control your time, you have the independence, you have the freedom, you're your own boss, you control your own hours, your own schedule. If you do end up making it work to a point where you're getting decent income, you bypass a lot of the issues that usually come with employment, working for somebody else. But it's so hard right now. It's always been hard, I would say, to start a business and to succeed, to make money for it. It's never been easy. Let's be honest. But all I'm saying is, for whatever reason, now that I'm like trying to think of like what I could start. Well, obviously, if you're starting with very little money, very little capital, you have to go into something that has a low barrier to entry. And so content online is usually one of those things. But it's precisely because the barrier to entry is low that it ends up being super competitive. Because anybody could do it. And some people are going to be more passionate. Some people are going to spend more time. Some people are going to try more things. And so you do end up with a highly competitive system. You know? Now, it's not about complaining and saying, oh, it's too difficult, I'm not going to be able to make anything happen. That's not the point. The point that I'm making is that's just the way it is. And also, there's not a clear path to making it work. There's not like a clear path to success. That's the other issue. The other issue is you could try really hard and try a bunch of things and it may still not work, because it's not a matter of just work X amount of hours a day, or just spend 3-4 hours a day. Like, it doesn't matter how many hours a day you spend on that. You may still end up with a strategy that doesn't work. You may say, okay, let me pivot and try something else. It may not. Like, there are people who have thousands of videos on YouTube and don't even have like 5,000 subs or something like that. Like, they have thousands of videos. They spent years and they never found a way to make real money from it. Because it's not about how much effort you expend, it's about, is your content good enough for people to watch it? And you may never figure it out, quite frankly, because it's not like a clear-cut thing. It's just like, it's too, not confusing, but just like not very clear on what it takes for any one individual to do it successfully. Okay? But also, yeah, so let's say you try content as something that's low barrier to entry, doesn't work. There are other things you could try, but you need to come up with those ideas and figure it out. That's fine. But more so from the dating angle, the dating standpoint that I was talking about. Now, it's ruthless. It's extremely ruthless, because at this point, it's not just about thing with dating is it's not just about, are you competitive enough in this one aspect, right? It's not like business or the labor marketplace where it's like, oh, I'm a good coder, I know how to code, I'm a good physicist, or I'm a good business person, and I know how to do marketing. It's not about any one specific skill that you may have. We know that LMS comes into play, looks, money theory, looks, money, status, but with dating, it's a bunch of other things. There's the emotional side of things, dealing with the specific location and the type of people there, the type of women that are there. You have to take that into account. But then also, A lot of people are playing games. A lot of people are not actually looking for something. You have to go out. You have to deal with people and make propositions and see what people say, and like it's just super confusing. And it's almost like sometimes it's kind of like a winner take all. It's kind of like a winner take all system where the winner takes everything. If you're not a winner, then you don't get anything. I feel like sometimes it can be like that. It's not what I feel. It's what you observe. It can be a winner take all system with the winner getting everything and everybody else fighting for scraps. I mean, you could say it's the same with business. With the only difference is that with business, there's like 100 different things that you could try. If one doesn't work, you can try some. There's like 100 different ways that you could make money, and you can always start from scratch. You can always start over. That is a key distinction. That is the key differentiator. You can always start over. But with dating, as you guys know, you cannot always start over. That is just not true. You cannot always start over. If you are in a particular dating marketplace and you messed up and you have a bad reputation, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for you. It's over. Forget it. It's done. You're not gonna salvage it. It's done. Or same thing on the dating apps. You go on the dating app, you get no matches, you have a very low ELO score, you get shadow banned, nobody sees your profile, you're done. It's over. You only get so many tries. Right? It's either you're accepted from the get-go or you're done. There's not an infinite there's no infinite glitch. It's done, you're over. Or the other more existential aspect of that is you get older, and as you get older you age out of the market. Yeah, you age out. It's like you're done. It's like, okay, try your best. Or maybe you didn't try your best, you just sort of gave up, because you realized it was too much work. So that's sort of the ruthless nature of both the labor marketplace, the business marketplace, and the dating/mating marketplace. They're both ruthless. Now, if they're both ruthless, that says something about the greater environment, the greater ecosystem. Like, why is it that those two things are so brutal and competitive in nature? You could say, well, it's because when you live in an advanced economy, things are going to be competitive because that's exactly what makes it advanced. I usually think about like countries that manage to develop and build amazing things. And you sort of think of the people who built those countries as very smart people who were able to do those things. But we tend to underestimate and dismiss the amount of work and effort that they put in, and the amount of effort and work that it takes to sustain that system that they built. It's not just that they were smart and they figured out the math and they just did it. No, it's because also they're expending a lot of energy on a daily basis. And you need that daily effort to maintain the system. In any major country, they need that daily effort. And sometimes they make the mistake of overbuilding. They build so much that it's almost impossible to maintain that system because they just built way too much. So be careful. It's not just because the system is advanced. Like sometimes if you build too much, you get to a point where the thing that you build cannot sustain it, and it has to either decline or collapse. But people tend to minimize, they tend to underestimate the amount of effort that it takes to maintain a system. And so the more advanced it is, the more competitive it is, both labor and dating. But with dating, there's something that's much more psychological, where people might overvalue themselves. And I think that might be the key issue with dating, is that people overvalue themselves. And because they overvalue themselves, they make it extremely difficult, to meet someone, to meet an actual match. And it's usually women who do that, and so it's usually men who end up not being able to find a match. Let's just put it that way. Let's just be honest. So if you guys have anything to add to that, let me know in the comments.